Look at those missiles. Yep.
Wow.
That's a saturation
Look how many
attack.
are striking.
Yeah, this is what happens when Israel runs out of interceptor missiles. That's called a saturation
all of them are landing.
attack. Yep. I would say that 90% of them are landing.
Most of them, some are being intercepted, but most of them.
Yeah, but even what we call an interception. Remember, the Iranians, their warheads here. I love what I'm sorry. This is what I used to do for a living, but I love watching these videos. These are warheads that have decoys. So a lot of what we see, it might be interceptions, are actually Israel hitting decoys, not the actual missile.
Wow, look, they're still hitting. This is live, Scott.
Yep. I mean, this is stunning. These are missiles that also have
they're still ongoing
acceleration capability. So you see this missile coming in right now. It's maneuvering and it's accelerating. So it's coming in and it's adjusting to hit the target. These are precise strikes. Whatever's on the ground there isn't anymore. So this is Israel waking up to the fact that Iran is a modern industrial state with extremely advanced capabilities. It also should be a warning to the United States and anybody else that thinks ballistic missile defense can save us. I don't want to get too off topic here, but the Golden Dome that President Trump has spoken about is based upon technology that either doesn't work, doesn't exist, will never work, and will cost us trillions of dollars by the time it's done. Let this be proof to us that missile defense doesn't work, and the best way you protect yourself against a ballistic missile attack is to have good diplomacy to avoid conflict to begin with, which is what should have happened. But Iran allowed itself to become what they call a threshold state. They enriched uranium to go ahead. I see your finger up.
I was going to make a quick correction. So the video, and I was checking my team, the video that I said was live was just a footage that just came in. So it was a loop. So we saw these many missiles land. And
right. It was just a single stick.
It was the same one again, exactly. So, but it's still a significant amount of missiles landed.
Yeah, I was looking at the behavior of the warheads going in and going, that looks exactly like the one I just saw before.
Exactly. It looked very, very similar. But if I do get anything wrong, please do correct me. Never feel bad to correct me. But you were saying, I want you to continue the previous point you're making, and I'll keep feeding you information as they come in.
No, the point is, and I cautioned Iran, I've been saying this for many months, you don't wave a red flag in front of the Israeli bull. If you don't want the Israelis to charge, don't give them an excuse. And, Iran should have left its program limited to 3.75% enrichment necessary for its legitimate peaceful nuclear purposes, at the maximum 20% limited run to produce fuel for the Tehran research reactor. But anything above that, there's no reason for it other than to threaten the ability to enrich up to weapons grade uranium. And so when Iran got to 60%, they're one enrichment cycle away from weapons grade. And then you have Iranian officials and generals. Many of the people killed, by the way, were people who had said Iran is ready to make the next step to nuclear weapons. And then Israel said they had intelligence that Iran was preparing to do that. And so they launched this strike. But if Iran had just ratcheted down its nuclear posture, there would have been no excuse for Israel to do this. But what Iran did by behaving what it did, it gave the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the ability to issue a Board of Governors report that said Iran is in non-compliance. This provides political cover for the Israelis. I'm not saying what the Israelis did was legal. It's not. It's an illegal act. It had no authority under international law. But the Israelis can make the case that we had no choice but to do this because of what Iran was doing. Iran simply could have refused this, not by...
This is a third wave you're seeing right now. This is a third wave. It's one missile striking. The third wave, as you were speaking, the reports, the third wave has begun hitting Israel as we speak. Yeah. How many waves would you expect, Scott, considering your expertise?
Well, I mean, it depends on how many missiles are available. Again, this is a speculation on my part. I'm not privy to Iran's plans. I would expect about 6 waves in the 6th one, because the way I think is that I'm going to I just go through in my mind, it's rough calculations, but what missile saturation does, meaning how many air defense missiles are available to Israel, how many waves it would take to exhaust that, and then how many waves of intelligence information I would need to be able to put that 6th and decisive blow into Iran. But again, this is just speculation on my part. I don't know what Iran's capabilities are. I don't know how many missiles they have, but clearly they have enough to launch What is this, the third wave?
Yeah, I'm just looking now at the footage of the third wave. The team will stream it in a second, but this is the footage here we're looking at earlier.
Yeah, boom, boom. I mean, look, guys,
Let me play it again here for you.
This is a bad day for Israel.
Did you anticipate this? Wow.
This is what we saw. If you remember Operation True Promise 2, this is what we saw at the end of Operation True Promise 2 when they sent that final wave in, and every single missile that went in hit the target. That's what Iran is capable of doing, and now Iran is doing it. And the interesting thing will be if Iran can do this tomorrow night, and the next night, and the next night, because that's how you break Israel's back. If Iran repeats this 4 nights in a row, 5 nights in a row, Israel can't survive this politically. They can't survive this. It'll be the end of the Netanyahu regime. So that's Iran's only hope. So
the goal is essentially strike Israel enough where the war becomes unpopular for Iranians, and Netanyahu is forced to stop the war and not continue this war. Because right now there's a lot of support behind him because he's been successful against Hezbollah. Gaza has a different discussion, and he seems to be successful against Iran. Obviously, this seems to be changing right now. So the goal is for Iran to strike Israel enough for Netanyahu to change his mind or find some sort of agreement to avoid losing the support of the people.
I don't know about changing Netanyahu's mind. The goal is to strike Israel enough for the Netanyahu's government to collapse, to get a vote of no confidence, and to be removed from office as the prime minister of Israel. That, I believe, is the Iranian goal at this point in time, because then you've achieved a political victory, and you also now, when you go into whatever negotiations may take place, you come in from a very strong position, a position in the past, people could threaten Iran, but if Iran has just demonstrated the ability to bring Israel to its knees, then that changes everything in negotiation. That's Iran's only hope. I firmly believe that Iran has no choice but to deliver the maximum harm to Israel. They have to be careful not to kill too many civilians. They're going to kill civilians. That's just the reality of war. But if they can focus these attacks on critical infrastructure, on military sites, on leadership sites, I think they can break the back of the Israeli people are not conditioned to do this. They're not conditioned to live like this, and they don't want to live like this. And if this becomes their future, they don't want to have any part of it. And you will see hundreds of thousands of Israelis flee Israel. And once Israel starts voluntarily depopulating, that's the end of Israel.
So the third wave is already starting to strike Israel as we speak. So the next question is, how far will Israel go, in your opinion, to be able? So they're going to strike the nuclear facilities. They struck a lot of the military commanders. Will they continue striking more military bases? Will they start striking infrastructure as they did in Lebanon in 2006? It was, or they don't need to go that far. Just the nuclear facilities and the military commanders is more than enough for this attack.
Iran's not Lebanon. I mean, with Lebanon striking southern Lebanon, then expanding the strikes into a limited geographic space was something that the Israeli military could do. Remember that Beirut was an undefended space. If the reports are accurate, Israel lost at least 2 aircraft going in, and that many of the missiles that were shot into Iran were shot down. So the Iran looks like it's rebuilding its defensive capability and exerting an offensive strike capability. So, this is this changes everything. The Israelis were hoping that Iran would be defenseless, laying down on the ground, unable to defend itself, and that would break the Iranian spirit. It appears that the Iranians absorbed the attack, suffered losses, but now they've rebuilt or reconstituted their air defense. And the Israelis haven't figured that code out. The Israelis can't keep special operations forces on the ground indefinitely. In fact, I would be surprised if there continues to be special forces guys on the ground, because right now Iran is mobilized and those boys are on the run or they've already been pulled out. So Israel's capacity, the diversity of operations they've shown are diminished now. They have limited strike capabilities. This is what I always said about Israel, is that Israel can start a war with Iran, but they can't finish it. They don't have sufficient forces to sustain a meaningful air attack against Iran. They gave Iran their Sunday punch, the knockout blow, didn't go down. Iran now is retaliating. We don't know how much longer Iran can do this. But if I were doing a quick analysis, it just appears that Israel is the scales are tipping. Now the question is what Israel will do next. The only escalation Israel can bring that's meaningful is either attempting to take out the regime. Take out the regime, or to use nuclear weapons. And using nuclear weapons would be fatal to the existence of Israel.
Oh, okay. For Iran to use nuclear weapons, you mean?
No. Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. I'm saying the only escalation.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was surprised. So Israel, but you said Israel, but that would be fatal for the existence of Israel. Is that what you said, or the existence of Iran?
No, the fatal. Well, it would be dangerous for Iran, potentially fatal, but it would be the end of Israel, because what it would do is expose Israel as a rogue nation compatible with modern.
Exactly.
So Israel would be foolish to use them.
Exactly. Is it fair to say that there's no way? I think someone mentioned it in our previous panel, but there is no way Israel will use a nuclear weapon. They'll lose all the support of the US and other allies